Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we do some cleanup in the old arborvitae bed. So let's go. It is early October, and while you can see this bed is looking a little untidy, I figured I'd bring you along while we clean up this bed and make it look a little bit nicer as we are in the fall season and there are some beautiful colors in this bed. One of the big tasks at hand are to cut off the spent flower blossoms on the Coleus. I kept them on there so that I could collect the seeds from them. So we're going to be collecting some seeds off of the Coleus, but other than that, we're going to be cutting back those flower stalks. There's a bird bath in here that needs to get cleaned up, so we're going to tackle that as well. There are some weeds, not many, so we might as well pull the weeds out. There is at least one perennial that I saw in this bed. It's a seedling of the great blue lobelia. We're going to be digging that up, and if we find any other perennials that shouldn't be in here, we'll be digging those up as well. The leaves are going to continue to fall for a number of weeks, but while we're cleaning up this bed, I figured we might as well clean up any of the leaves that are in here. So let's get started with this project. This is the seedling of the great blue lobelia, and that's considered a native perennial here where I live, New Hampshire Zone 5B. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time getting rid of plants or seedlings that are in unwanted areas of my flower bed. So I could do a couple of things with this seedling. I could put it somewhere else in my garden, or I can pot it up. And I'm choosing to pot it up because I have plenty of this plant in other areas of my yard. So I like to recycle my pots. I get this from a local nursery, so it is a used pot. And I have free compost that I got from a transfer station close to my house. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this plant in the pot. I'll give it a drink of water. And then I'm going to put this plant in a backyard plant nursery that I have up along my driveway. And by next year, this one plant will easily turn into 3 or 4 plants that I can pot up and sell to someone else that wants this plant. I'm just using this push broom, and I love it because it has a long handle to it. And I'm going to clean out my granite bird bath. What I love about this bird bath is that it's very shallow, and a lot of birds love to take a bath in it, which is very nice. And now we can fill it up. Even the chipmunks and squirrels like to come along and drink water from here. I do my best to keep it clean, but you know how it is. Every so often, a few days go by. So at least now we're getting it cleaned up. When it comes to the leaves, I like to collect my leaves, and once they've dried out, I will be shredding them up, and these will be added to my compost pile. They make for a nice brown material in the compost bin. The next thing we're going to tackle is we're going to start cutting back the blooms off of the Coleus. I'm just using hand pruners to do the job. You want to make sure you use something sharp and that they've been sterilized or cleaned. And just be careful when it comes to cutting. You don't want to cut your fingers. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the bloom down to the bottom of that bloom stalk. And I'm just going to cut there. All of these Coleus were started indoors under LED shop lights. And what I'll do is down in the description below, I will put links to any related videos. For example, how to collect the seeds from Coleus, how to start Coleus from seed, how to create your own compost. And the stalks that I'm cutting off right now have not gone to seed. They're still purple in color. And I do have stalks that are in here from my Coleus that have gone to seed. And I will definitely show you my process for collecting those seeds. But I don't need that many Coleus seed. So that's why I'm cutting these off at this time, because to be honest with you, it looks kind of messy and I want a nice cleaner look in this flower bed. So with the stalk here, notice that it has some purple blossom still on it, but there isn't a lot of brown color on it, whereas the one next to it does have some brown coloring on it. That would be a better stalk to get the seeds from. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this one back. And I wanted to mention, I do have a lot of bees, a lot of pollinators that are still coming on the flowers here. But I have plenty of other flowers in my yard, so I don't feel terribly bad about cutting these blossoms off because I know that they can go to other flowers that are in my yard. And I can't stress that enough, that we all have a lot of projects to do in our gardens and our flower beds. So your garden is an area that you need to tackle when you have the time to do it. And right now I have the time to do this job with cutting the blossoms back, and that's why I want to tackle it. So with this flower stalk here, we're going to go ahead, we're going to cut it back, and then I'm going to show you my process for collecting the seeds off this Coleus plant. I'm using a wire mesh kitchen strainer here, and right below it is a metal bowl. On this flower stalk, it's not completely brown. Normally you would want to wait for it to be browner than this, but the brown little pods there do have seeds in them, and that's okay. At this time, I can collect some seeds off of this flower stalk. And all I'm doing is I'm just roughing up the flower petals that are on here and moving it around in my fingers. And the goal is just to release those seeds. And you can go like this even to remove all of those blooms on there. Now keep in mind, it did rain last night and this morning. So it's okay to collect seeds off of seed pods if they're wet. The main thing is you want to make sure that you let those seeds dry. So what I'll be doing is I will be letting these seeds dry for about 1 week before I store them. And then I can even shake this a little bit more to release the seeds. And you can see the seeds at the bottom of this bowl. Each seed will produce a plant. Isn't that amazing? And now what I'm doing is I'm just pouring the seeds out of the bowl onto this piece of paper. I have a small Ziploc bag here. I've labeled it. It's a mixed Coleus, the year that I collected the seeds. I have a small US dime here so you can see the size of the seeds next to the dime. After 1 week has passed, I will use this paper. Notice there's a crease in the center, and I will funnel the seeds off of the paper into the bag. And here's a close-up shot at what the seeds as well as the seed pod looks like, just in case you're interested. As we continue cutting back blossoms, I am bringing this bowl with me, and I'm just going to remove the seed pods into this bowl, and then later on I can get more seeds as I need to. You typically grow your Coleus for its beautiful foliage, for its leaves. So oftentimes you remove these blooms because a lot of people don't like them. They don't like the look of them. And like I mentioned, I kept them on here because I wanted to collect the seeds off of these seed pods. It's been a number of years since I have bought the seeds of these Coleus plants. You really can save a lot of money when you collect your own seeds from plants and start them yourself. There are some varieties of Coleus that do not produce seeds. They're sterile. Oftentimes you'll find that with branded plants such as proven winter plants. And when you do collect the seeds from various plants, including Coleus, there's no guarantee that the plant that's going to get produced will look like the mother plant. But I think that's what's the beauty of collecting your own seeds, is creating your own combinations of plants. And when it comes to the Coleus seeds, you want to make sure that those seeds are a dark brown or black color. They should not be green. If they're green, then that means that they are not viable and they will not produce a plant. I want to talk to you a little bit about this particular flower bed. As I mentioned earlier, I call it the old arborvitae bed. And the reason I call it that is years ago, there used to be 3 large arborvitae that were in this flower bed. And they were planted here when we first bought the house about 20 years ago. They were very short, very small, so they were new plantings. And they actually looked really nice here. The problem is that I didn't know much about that type of plant, and so I never pruned on them. I never took care of them. And they ended up getting quite large. And in certain areas, they started to die off. They did not look good. And as the years passed, I looked at them and I didn't like them because I didn't take care of them. And to be honest with you, even if I had taken care of them and they'd gotten taller, I'm not sure I still would have liked them in this area, because I really do enjoy being able to look from this area into my backyard. I actually made a YouTube short talking about the arborvitae and the fact that we removed them and why we removed them. In that YouTube short, I explained that if there's something in your garden that you don't love, some sort of a planting or some sort of a structure, then don't keep it, remove it. Put something else there that you will love instead. And I do feel very strongly about that. After all, isn't that the beauty of gardening, is making changes to our gardens? And we want to be able to enjoy our gardens. It's our sanctuary, it's our space that we go to get away from everything else. I want you to see this right here is a small flower bud, and it will eventually turn into this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Now it's just a matter of time that we get our first frost. And when we do get that frost, I'm sure it will take out these plants. But I want to be able to still enjoy this space up until the frost hits them. And what's nice is this area is not very large. In fact, I'll put the dimensions of this area up on the screen. If I really truly wanted to, I could cover this area with some protection when I know that a frost is coming. Because I do feel that the Coleus is beautiful this time of year. Look at all the beautiful different variations in color of this Coleus. And again, these were from seeds that I collected last year. And I believe it was some sort of a Kong mixture of seeds. But I just love how they're all a little bit different. It's going to take me a while to do the same process of removing all these flower stalks and then collecting the seeds from any flower stalks that have seeds ready to be collected. So I'm going to continue doing this, and when I'm all done, I will show you what's next with this project. Well, I was able to collect a lot of green material that can get added to my compost pile over here, and then over in this bowl here, there are plenty of seed pods that I will be getting the seeds from, which is super exciting. I had made a garden tour video yesterday, and I'll put a link to that video down in the description below. But I was a little sad because this area just did not look that nice. And just by cutting off the blossoms, that alone makes this section of my yard look that much more beautiful. So I wanted to make sure I made a video showing the cleanup of this bed and just see what a difference it makes to cut those blossoms back. But again, I kept them on there because I did want to collect the seeds. I'm glad I collected the seeds, and I'm also glad that we cleaned up this area. I had told myself not to worry about the leaves because if you look just beyond here, my backyard is right there. I had just cleaned the leaves from my backyard yesterday. So you can see this time of year, the leaves are going to be falling pretty quickly now. But just for the sake of making this area look nice, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to blow away any leaves that are in this section of this flower bed. We'll pull out the leaves from the center and from the sides of the bed. And then after we've done that, I will say that this flower bed is good and clean until a frost hits it. I do want to mention that I have videos showing you how to collect the seeds off of alyssum, trailing blue lobelia, as well as the vinca. And the links will be for not just how to collect the seeds of those plants, but also how to start those plants from seed. And now I call this bed officially done. The leaves will come back, and that's okay. I am just so happy with how much cleaner this area looks. And just look how beautiful the coleus look. Right now the stores are selling coleus, but here in New Hampshire, again, there's no use in buying the coleus. So it's so nice to have these pops of color here right near my side walkway where I can really enjoy them. And they just look so much better now. Look at all the different colors in here. And these are the colors that we want to see in the fall time. Thank you for joining me, friends, with just cleaning up this flower bed. I feel so good to have gotten this accomplished. And I wanted to mention something else before I end this video. When it comes to Coleus, yes, you can absolutely collect the seeds of Coleus and start your Coleus that way. That's my preferred method. However, I mentioned earlier in the video that some Coleus do not create seeds, so you're not able to collect them and start them that way. So I'll be making a video very soon showing you what you need to do in order to overwinter a Coleus plant. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down in the comment section below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.